It's no surprise that the Trump base wants a civil war. That's just like pretty much every single right winger. They're hoping for a civil war so that they can go on a genocidal rampage and kill every single left-leaning person that they hate. Um, but now they're claiming that if Trump gets arrested, there's going to be a civil war.
10 degrees in this room. Nice job with the air conditioning, whoever, but
So thank you guys for being with us. Vaughn, first of all, take okay, and I swear this has nothing to do with it's nothing to do with how much he was sweating last night, but just politically. Give us a temperature of the room. How are they feeling about Trump? How are they feeling about? No, people say take a temperature of the room.
Read the room.
Read the room for us. I would take it if they're going to a Trump rally. Most of them are going to be rock-ribbed Trump supporters. Is that what you found there? Were there any people that were questioning whether he could actually win in a general election, or are they all in for Donald Trump?
My dry idea worked perfectly fine yesterday to know. But look, when we're looking at that gymnasium yesterday,
good to know.
I think this hits at the point here that, Joe, you were just making. For all the attention on the past, I think that what was so striking to me yesterday was I've covered a heck of a lot of these rallies over the last 9 years, and that was the most defiant Donald Trump that I have ever witnessed. For Donald Trump, this is not just about him. To a certain extent, he's powerless as a defendant in the courtroom unless he takes a stand. But what Donald Trump is able to do is mobilize his political operation to.
He's created a cult of personality around him. This is why so many people have now based their life just around Trump, and that's all they are Trump cultists, and that's why no matter what anybody says, but Trump, he is a good person.
Use it as a bludgeon against the U.S. justice system. We have seen him do it against the U.S. election system. We have seen him do it against the U.S. media. For now, here in this moment, it is about mobilizing these millions of Americans to initiate a distrust in the courtroom proceedings that are about to take place. I want to let you hear from two of the folks I talked to, because when I stood there in that room and talked with these voters here, for Donald Trump, he told that crowd that his base, the MAGA base, is the most passionate and spirited that it's ever been. And while that MAGA base may have shrunk over the last 3 years, I don't think he's wrong in his assessment about those that still remain. Take a look.
Well, those that remain are the most hardcore Trump supporters, and those that left are ones that, we're kind of soft. It's just like any cult. The hardcore members will always remain, while those that are not as hardcore will eventually drop out after, having their eyes open about how trashy the person actually is.
That's Nazi Germany Hitler. You can't silence your political opponents because you don't agree with them. Joe Biden should be in prison for his bribes.
The vote was stolen. I believe it. In my heart. Remember, they blew up one of the election quarters where they kept all of the Dominion machines. Why'd that blow up?
If Donald Trump were to be found guilty by a jury, where do you see this going?
Civil war. Civil war. Divide it up because we can't live together, obviously.
And if he wants
Civil War. If Donald Trump is found guilty of his crimes, they want a civil war, and this is supposed to be the party of law and order. Yet, when the law is properly applied, they don't like it. The right wing is not the party of law and order, they're the party of law and order for who they choose. They want no laws for themselves while having laws removing the existence of other people around them.
to me to protect them, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to let them know that I'll do it.
Do what? Go out and murder people?
Guys, I think this is about the inherent danger of where Donald Trump takes this from here. Forget about the election. Forget about general election 2024 and whether he can win or not here. If Donald Trump is found guilty by a jury where does this go from here? I know that we did not foresee an actual physical attack on the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021, and I can't begin to foresee an event of what may metastasize coming out of a guilty conviction or another election loss from Donald Trump.
It sounds like those people want they want a civil war, which would mean an attack all over the nation. And it's not like right-wingers haven't been attacking the infrastructure already and attacking, the electrical grid and power plants and stuff like that.
But what I'm increasingly convinced by from conversations like those across this country is that we are increasingly getting closer to an event, whatever that event may be. That event is becoming increasingly closer here because Donald Trump does have millions that may not win him an election, but will be there to defend him to the very end, whatever that end may look like.
Joe, this is where Republican leaders are so needed, and they are so not present for the truth, for reality. We need 100 McCain moments, 100 times over. Remember when he said to them,
You're talking about the right-wing base, people who they may not support Trump, but in the end, they want the same thing.
that member of the audience, no, you're wrong. When the disparaging comment, the untrue comment was made about Barack Obama.
Right.
This is why this is pervading, because other Republican leaders, members of Congress, Trumpers, people who have either been infected by his lies or know Kevin McCarthy, that he is a liar and has committed crimes against this democracy. You know it to your core, and you play that game. And these people are caught in the middle. These people are infected with lies, and people like that went to the Capitol on January 6th.
But if Kevin McCarthy, if Mitch McConnell, if members from New Hampshire's Republicans
They know
in
better.
New Hampshire said that, they would immediately become the outsiders. They would immediately become part of the deep state, which is part of the problem. It's also part of the reason why you've seen a boiling down of the number of Trump supporters. It's gotten smaller. I think it has gotten more intense. And as people have made the point, it's not really a political campaign. It's a movement.
It's a threat.
But it's a movement, Michael, that
It's a cult of personality. That's all it is. Trump created a cult, and that's what he's been wanting.
that you have the leader of the movement who started by calling the press enemies of the state. He then undermined Americans' confidence in elections when he knew he was going to lose. He started talking about how American democracy was rigged. And so he turned his supporters against that. Now he's turning his supporters against.
Yeah, well, American democracy has always been rigged. Look at, the founding of the United States, where only certain people had the right to vote. And that's the way the right-wingers want it. They want it only so that they have all the rights.
The judicial system, the rule of law in the United States, because he knows he's going to be found guilty of some of these charges because he committed the crimes. And the question is, what are you hearing on the Hill? We certainly hear what members say publicly. Are you hearing any concerns privately from Republicans about the continued radicalization of Donald Trump and his supporters?
Well, look, Joe, absolutely some moderates and more centrists in the party have been voicing concerns about this. There are a number of lawmakers up on Capitol Hill who have said, a number of Republicans, rather, more of those moderates and centrists, who have said that they don't want to see Donald Trump be the Republican nominee come 2024. There are a number of other lawmakers, Republicans, who have endorsed some of Donald Trump's challengers. But look, the reality of it is that Donald Trump is still the leader of the Republican Party. He's, of course, the overall frontrunner in the GOP primary. And when we talk about some of these followers, particularly those ones up on Capitol Hill, who could become the minority of the party if they were to speak out against Donald Trump, we saw some lawmakers try this out after January 6th. You talked about Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Back when he was minority leader, we'll all remember that days after the January 6th Capitol riot, Kevin McCarthy went to the House floor during that impeachment debate and actually said President Trump bore responsibility for the riot and said that he needs to take responsibility for the actions that happened on January 6th. But then everyone will
Yeah, Trump told them to go to the Capitol and fight, because if they don't, they will lose the nation.
remember it was just days after that Kevin McCarthy said that, well, he doesn't think that Donald Trump provoked the riot. And he thinks that while Donald Trump bore some responsibility, there are also people all across the country bear responsibility. And then after that, of course, there was that infamous trip down to Mar-a-Lago to meet with the president. So after January 6th, Kevin McCarthy and some other Republicans tried out this state of being of going against President Trump and criticizing him. But the fact of the matter is that time showed that the party was sticking behind Donald Trump, that the GOP was staying behind Trump. And because of that firm grip and that firm grasp on the party, a number of these lawmakers careened back to President Trump's side. And that's what we're seeing play out right now in the wake of this indictment after indictment after indictment.